Round two was a charm.
That's a first.
Well, I don't know. It's something in my browser. I don't know. It was weird. It was like not showing the click button live to go live. Anyway, all right. A great show today. We got Coach Ian Pace on today from Colgate. He's been at Mississippi State. He's been at Center College. He's been at St. John Fisher. He's been at Somerville High School. He's been at Colgate, obviously, for the last year and a half, I think, around. Where he's a wide receiver coach, a recruiting coordinator, and they've really improved since he's gotten there a ton, having a winning record. So without further ado, let's bring on Coach Pace. What's going on, Coach?
Not much. Appreciate you guys letting me come on and talk. It's always a great opportunity to get out there. And if nothing else, you get to spread knowledge about the program you're currently with and just all the good stuff that's happening. So I really greatly appreciate you too for letting me be on this morning. So thank you.
Appreciate you, Coach. We know you're kind of in the thick of it too. So, we've got to get it done. But, like I said, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. And we're looking to have some good conversation about some ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, I'm sure you're sleep deprived too.
Yeah.
If
you're not at this point, you're not doing something right?
No matter what your success or failures on the year, if you're not, a little gassed, I think at this point in the juncture, I don't know.
No doubt. Coach, talk about your background, how you got into coaching and kind of your rise through the coaching ranks and your journey.
I first started coaching. I was graduating from Fordham University, which is my alma mater, back in the spring of 2009. And I didn't really know at that moment or juncture what I wanted to do. I went to Fordham hoping to become a lawyer, make a lot of money. But as I went through my academic undergrad career, I just was like not having the fulfillment or joy that I was looking for through my process of attaining my undergrad degree. And so my college coach at the time was like, you may want to look into it because you're pretty passionate about the game. You seem to have a good knowledge base and foundation for it. So I took up his advice. I ended up being very, very fortunate to garner a GA position at Bowling Green State University out in Ohio at the age of 23. And I didn't really, at the moment, realize how fortunate I was. I thought I knew a lot when in reality I knew very little. Went out to Bowling Green, learned from one of the best program builders I think I've ever been around, Dave Clausen. His leadership style, his manners, like his ability to empower the people that were a part of his program was remarkable and special. And he's done it absolutely everywhere he's been. I think he rebuilt Fordham from 0-11 to a national power, and then went to Bowling Green, Richmond, and now he's at Wake Forest. So it was great to watch his leadership style and just take as many notes as I could from him. From there, I was very, very fortunate that Coach Clausen connected me with Coach Moorhead, and I got to go back to my alma mater at Fordham and work as an assistant for a very long time. Those years were really, really fun. We took a program that was 0-11 there as well and got it all the way up to as high as I believe it was number 5 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first ever assistant job. Really, really enjoyed it. Got to coach a lot of really great people and players. From there, my next opportunity, I went to Mississippi State. I followed Coach down there. Completely stepped out of a comfort zone geographically and everything I knew. And I wanted to do it. I thought it'd be a great opportunity. It's SEC. You see it on CBS Sports every Saturday. That just means more. So I guess I was a fan, and I was chasing that ultimate awesome opportunity. It was a really, really great thing. The whole experience itself was awesome. Even the ending. Unfortunately, Coach got let go. So when you're part of the staff, you get let go. So
yeah,
kind of bounced around a little bit. I ended up in Danville, Kentucky, in Center College, which is an absolutely fantastic place. If you don't know much about it, please go give it a peek. They're indoor. They have more facilities than most FCS schools on the East Coast. Like Coach Fry has done an amazing job building his own mini little Kentucky right there in the heart of Kentucky. From Kentucky, I went up with my wife. We went to St. John Fisher University. Got to be an offensive coordinator there for 2 years. It was awesome. It was great because anything you ever wanted to do, everything you ever thought would look cool, let's give it a whirl. And the good part is
Empire 8, right?
Yeah. And the stage isn't enormous. I wish I had known that the national championship was going to come out of the Empire 8 a year and a half after I was there.
Yeah.
Did a great job. But it was so much fun. The kids were awesome. You had to be really creative and succinct in your teaching because you didn't really have a lot of meeting time with them. So that was a lot of fun. From there, I had moved my wife and I around 4 years straight, I believe, from Kentucky to Mississippi to New York. And she's a New Jersey native, and the opportunity to get back to New Jersey, even at a high school level, was something was presented to me, and I went and did it. It was awesome. The kids were amazing. I wouldn't take back ever going and coaching at the high school ranks. I completely underestimated, and I don't mean this in a bad way, the parents. Is very
man. That's a lot, and especially at a place like that.
It's just really tough. I think I was trying to do too much as far as I wanted to get everything set up and running overnight, and I just ran myself into the ground. And I'm so happy to see where they're going now. I think they'll.
Oh yeah, they're about to win another one, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully they can finish it off because the kids are. I think they were sophomores or freshmen this year and a half I was with them, and it was just great to see what they're doing, and hopefully they'll finish it off with a lot of success. So, and then from Somerville, real fortunate. Coach DeCoste here at Colgate had an opening on his staff. I basically text, email, DM'd. I guess any sort of communication you can to get in front of everyone, interviewed. Thought I did a nice job, and coach offered me the position. I started last spring as the tight ends coach, and about a week before our first game against Syracuse, our receivers coach got a great opportunity to go be an analyst for the San Francisco 49ers. He accepted that opportunity, and I transitioned over just because I think year 15, I'm one of the older guys on the staff, and so knowledge base along with relationship with our OC just seemed to pair up really well, and the kids are really, really talented in the room, so really lucky and fortunate to be with them on a daily basis.
It's awesome.
Sorry if that was a little too long-winded, but I figured I'd go.
No, I mean, look, you got to tell the process, and that's part of it too. Like when we have guys on like this, just kind of, showing the people and whoever and then our guys that watch this, just kind of the path that it takes and how you never really know where it's going to end up, right? I mean, you're at Mississippi State, SEC, and then before you know it, something happens and the trickle down effect, and now you have to literally bounce around every year, right, for 4 years till you kind of find that right fit. And I think that's part of the whole process, right? And that's kind of what coaches. I don't think parents, people really see what college coaches do, or the fact that that process that it takes to kind of get where you're at right now.
Yeah, no, I think. The first thing is, if you better have the right partner if you want to be in college athletics or any sort of, even if you're going to be a coach of football, regardless of level, Pop Warner all the way up to college, you better have an understanding, appreciative partner that's okay with being independent, that's okay with having to do a lot that often you don't really appreciate, So moving her around was probably one of the hardest things I had to do because it was like we'd settle down, get a little bit of a roots and a base, and then it was like, okay, ready to go. And, so just have that understanding. And then, Coach Clausen always taught me, he's like, whatever job you have, you be where your feet are and you do your absolute very best at that role. Like you may not like it or appreciate it in that moment, but that opportunity, the first role I ever had for him, I was an academics GA. So I walked around and I class checked every day. When I first started it, professors, I'd open the door to get in their classroom, like, who the hell are you? And get out of my room. But by the end of it, they would leave the door cracked and I would walk in and they'd just say, you're all good, coach. So, you dominate your role, whatever it may be. It may be drawing scout cards all day. That's all you ever do. But you better draw the best scout cards possible so that you show the pride, the attention to detail, everything you want to do. So you get the opportunity to move on. And there's way more, I've discovered there's way more lows than there are high moments in coaching. The high moments are absolutely awesome, though. When you get them, that's what keeps you coming back. It's almost like a round of golf. You may not hit a ball for, 8 holes. That's perfect. But that 9th hole, you take it from the tee and you're 300 out and you're like, let's go. So, but those highs are what keep you flowing. The lows, you learn to love them and appreciate them and press forward through them.
Well, Coach, of all the years of coaching, when you see, that you talked about the highs and the lows, the difference between when you think your teams have been real successful versus when they've struggled. What have you seen in the difference in the teams and the difference, and how everything is going? Like, what are some of the differences? Because people are always like, well, what's the difference? How do you get a team to be successful? What does that look like versus when a team's struggling? What have you seen over the years?
The teams that have won the championships have been around. First, they were player-led. That culture of the seniors and juniors taking over and making sure there are no issues. And if there are issues, they never reach the coaching staff. And them communicating what you're saying, and oftentimes it may not be the exact same words, but they understand what message and what you're trying to get across, whether it be the consistent daily habits of trying to be like want to know every day, dominating the classroom, dominating the weight room. Those player-led, player-driven teams are often the best ones. The teams that show up each day and they know the only thing they're worried about is the next thing, those have been the most special ones. There's also the common trend of the humility piece, and no one cares how it goes. At Fordham, we had a running back, Chase Edmonds. I think he had like 28 touchdowns one year.
Monster.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared if he scored 50 touchdowns. Everybody cared about getting a championship ring. That's all they cared about. Nobody cared about the postseason accolades. And one of my favorite expressions from Coach Moorhead was, with team success comes individual recognition. And I thought that was an awesome way of pushing things. Like, guys, if you go 8-2, you go 9-3, we're going to have 21st team all league selections. You go 2-10, it's going to be a lot harder for you guys to get that recognition. So he often, because he works with skill players, he goes, Coach, skill players are selfish. There's only one ball and they all want it. So you have to figure out a way to communicate. You can be selfish within the construct of the greater good. And the greater good is the team and it's winning. How the kids are allowed to be selfish is you get them the ball and they execute with it. So the player-led driven, and then just the we over me mentality have been the two greatest things I've seen. And the kid, like, there was a year 14, and then even here at Colgate last year, the last 6 weeks of the season, you went to football and you'd be there 18 hours, but you never felt like you were at football and you never felt like it was 18 hours. So there's like moments that create that run. That's really, really special. The teams that have struggled are the ones you have to worry about off the field. You go on a road trip, maybe they do something they're not supposed to. They're late to meetings, So the intangible pieces of what you do off the field manifesting itself on the field are often great translators and things that correlate and you can show the kids. So those have been pieces I've experienced.
Yeah, and you coach with some fantastic coaches, Coach Clausen, Coach Moorhead. What are some of the characteristics that you found that like Coach Clausen and Moorhead have that have really helped them to be so successful and really go to the top levels?
The biggest Coach Moorhead and both those coaches recognized their leadership style and how they had to operate. I remember vividly at Bowling Green, Coach Clausen, most of the days the door was closed because he had to be the enforcer, or I won't say bad guy relationship, but he was the one who, if something went wrong, he was the one the kids were going to be like, no, I got to go see the big guy. Whereas the assistant coaches were the ones that he wanted the players to go see. Like, they wanted to create, and we wanted to create and foster such a relationship that the family aspect of it was good to go. So I often just was like, man, that's got to be a very lonely existence.
Yes.
Lonely life. But he did it. He dominated it. I don't know, as it got to like year 3 or 4, we practiced in the morning out there. So I thought maybe possibly on the back end, once he started to get everything under control as far as off the field and our record kept getting better and better, I thought maybe he was closing the door to take a nap because we were on the field at like 5:50 in the morning once everything was under control. But so that his leadership style in that sense was, I just was admired it because that has to be so difficult. And then Coach Moore was a player's coach. I'll be honest with you, the kids gravitated towards him. He was very easygoing. But the two things that they both had in common, regardless of how their leadership style was, is they were the same person every day. We could be 0-10.
Consistency.
We could be 10-0. They showed up every day. You knew exactly what you were going to get. The roller coaster, the up and down, the move, like that is really, really difficult for everybody in an organization or a program to know how to handle, how to navigate. And then they kept and treated everyone fair. It wasn't always the same, but everyone got treated fairly. And the cool part, both those, you could be the scout team player. You were treated, you were loved, you got the same stuff as the first team All-American. And those two aspects I always thought were great. Both were meticulous in their detail, which I thought, I don't know when they slept. I had no idea when they slept because, like, if you're going to hold people to a certain standard and it's an exhausting lifestyle, but they were always on point. And I was like, gosh, I one day aspire to be able to do that because everybody has that day where they don't feel it. And those two, I didn't know when it was. So those would be features or attributes that I've observed and really thought were awesome.
You've been to so many different levels, which is really, really unique about you. I mean, from high school all the way up to the highest level.
SEC, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
damn.
exactly. What are some of the kind of common themes, I guess, all the way across, and then what are some of the like big differences that you've seen from each level?
There's like one of the things I think to first point, I as I was did the coordinator thing at the Division III level and the lower levels, I think there's a misconception about the level of coach. There's some awesome, amazing coaches, and it's awesome to see now like the coaches rising up through the ranks. Like we played Cornell earlier this year. I believe their coach at one point was a Division III head coach. Really smart, brilliant offensive mind who goes fast as could be. So I get real excited to see those type of offenses. But like just some of the people at those levels, like a head coach at the Maryville down in Tennessee, he's one of the smartest men in all of like college football, but he chooses to be where he's at and fits his life and his lifestyle. So that misconception, I was like, I'm glad I got to experience it and make sure I could tell people if anybody asked or cared about my opinion, like that's not true. The obvious differences are the bells, the whistles, the personnel, the amount of people. The kids here once asked me what it was like to work in the SEC, and I was like, oh, it was fun. And they're like, what was the coolest thing? And I was like, we went to Arkansas for a game. We flew there, got on a bus, went to the game, played the game. On the flight back, there was the iPad with the game already on there. I was able to grade the game on my laptop, get to my apartment back in Starkville, and I was all done by 4 o'clock. Those things don't obviously happen as you get to the lower levels. Just the amount of people. So you always are trying to do the best you can with what you have from a number of people, budget, all that stuff. So the carryover concepts are just, there's always great kids, whether it be at the high school level, Division III, whatever it may be. Great kids you get to work with, and they got to love football. And it seems most of the places I've been have been real fortunate. Like the center experience was during the middle of COVID. The school was okay. We did COVID daily testing, and we did like a fall ball. We did like 30 practices. And for everybody, it was a great opportunity because that was just such a downtrodden time. We got to go out and do football. And it was so much fun because you got to experiment, do whatever you wanted because there was no, I don't say pressure, but there was no immediacy of a win or a loss coming.
Right.
It was like having extra spring ball to get to experience, offensive stuff. And our defense was trying some stuff. And it was good because it was competitive, but it was never like, I hate the word pressure. You don't feel pressure, it's just you have the timeline where you don't have enough time to practice too many new things in a season structure. So, but yeah, I would just say all the bells and the whistles, and what you're asked to do at each place. Like Starkville, I broke down games. I worked in the tight ends, and I did studies. Like it was great. I got to watch football all day, every day. That's what I did. Like that because there had so many people, and that was the role I needed to fulfill. At center, I was doing the laundry. I was the offensive court. You do everything. So it's just like that would be the biggest difference. So, but you're always again trying to do the best you can by your kids and the people you get to work with.
As recruiting coordinator, it's a totally new environment, obviously, in the last couple of years with respect to recruiting and how it works and, transfers, there's high school kids, kind of what's your guys' overall philosophy, and what are some of the challenges that you're seeing in recruiting?
We're fortunate in the Patriot League. There's still some, I don't want to say purity, but due to the academic standards for most of the institutions in the league, a lot of the things that most programs are facing nowadays, we are still very fortunate to go with the more traditional standard style of recruiting because you have to have a certain grade, certain GPA, certain test score to get admitted.
Hell yeah.
So it is great. It is uphill at times because you are going to recruit against and play against some people, especially
different,
that they're able to touch and get some guys that you're not able to. The biggest thing is just the timeline of everything. It's so sped up, and I think that was one of the getting to be at a couple different places. I think was huge for me to help be able to bring that to here. A lot of the staff has been very experienced. A lot of their experience is here, and when you're around one thing, you continue to do that thing. So I think it was awesome to have the opportunity to bring a little bit of a different perspective. Not to rush our recruiting process, but you have to catch up. If this was like the first time I think we did summer official visits, so that whole process has looked different for everybody. It was funny because you would be a lot in the spring. It was like, what is everyone doing in the summer? And no one really knew what to say to each other because it was kind of like I think nobody really knew it at the FCS level. So it was like, we have to work these camps. You have to go to this camp. Plus, you want to do these summer officials. Plus, this is your one time every year as a coach to give yourself the opportunity to recharge the battery. But the biggest differences of it, I would say, is the speed, how you're reaching the kids. Like at one point, graphics were big. I don't know if that's still a big thing. We do them just because you got to do it because others do it. The speed at which it operates, and at our level, and especially in our league, you can't afford to have a recruit come in and not fulfill what you're hoping for. At the minimum, they
absolutely,
because our just roster limitations, sizes, numbers. You have to make sure you're really well researched and you don't have too many. You want to limit the amount of ones that don't maybe fulfill what you thought they would become, if that makes sense. Because if not, you're going to have that scholarship in your pocket for 4 years because there's not a lot of attrition here, which is a great thing. That's
right. Stability within the roster itself, correct? Yeah, because of the academic. And when you're talking about speed, Coach, you're talking about basically just the delivery in terms of social media and that kind of, you know what I mean? Like the direct contact with players.
1,000%. The ability to contact them, but also just like we had junior days in February and January last year. Like the offers go out now. The early offers. Yeah, and the commitments, so it's like what an offer means now has also changed quite a bit. Kids and coaches need to all make sure they're transparent and on the same page, just so that nobody gets put in a bad position. I think the easiest way for me and our staff, the way we do it, like as recruiting, is we're very transparent, very open about what we're doing and how much a scholarship may be for. When the timeline of that scholarship is available to versus when it may not be, how many you're taking. You just over communicate. And at first, I think maybe potentially people are like, whoa, it's pretty direct, blunt to the point. But as you continue to do that and have that open communication, I think coaches, everyone is just really appreciative because it's nice and easy. And the speed also, yes, being able to access the kid and not have to, you used to have to call 3 people to just get in a building. Now it's like you DM the kid and it's like everybody gets it all set up for you and you're good to rock and roll. So I don't know, coaches now, some high school coaches, like I don't know how they always joke, they're like, you're a little old school with this. You call us, you keep us all in the loop. Like, I don't know, that's just how I was taught to do it.
Right.
So, but yeah.
But I do think that's something that's very different, Coach, especially with your, in terms of that, because if you look at it now, like with that direct communication with the recruit itself, right, or parents, whoever, like the high school coach is kind of almost like you said, you had to call 3 people to get into a building now, whereas now you don't even have to do that. You can talk to the kid directly. And, sometimes some of the things that we see at the high school level, like the kids are coming to us as coaches saying, hey, guess what? Like I talked to Coach so-and-so and I got this. And it was like, well, we haven't even talked to the coach. Right. So I appreciate the old school mentality, I guess, coming from a current high school coach, you know what I mean? But it's just different in that facet.
Yeah, no. And that I think one of the coolest things to appreciate is just I had to be able to do all the different levels. You have like a different, if all I'd ever done was college, I don't think I would have had a full appreciation of how difficult it is for coaches, especially if they don't work in the building, how much effort it takes to coordinate to make sure a coach can come see a player. The time I was at Somerville, I was very fortunate because I was in the building and I was able to get situated pretty easily. The school is very flexible and allowed me to meet with coaches. But like if I just show up to your school and I don't let you know, like so tough on you. And it's like, okay. I think just having all those different experiences on both sides was enormous. And just as I've gotten older and later in my career, it's like, okay, I can see both sides now. And it's like, you appreciate it further and fuller. So
100%.
I think that's an important thing in recruiting that's changed is where the direct communication can really be beneficial, telling them exactly what their timeline is if they get an offer to commit, making sure they understand that. It was, when I was an agent in the NFL, that was the thing I loved about being working with the NFL teams versus as a high school coach dealing with coaches in college, was that they would tell me yes, no, maybe, and you would get direct communication on your guys. I'm talking about guys that are borderline draft guys and stuff. and it was very, very helpful because you're navigating through all those teams, right? So that communication was really helpful, and the no's were as valuable as the yeses were, right? Because you knew where to kind of focus your efforts. And I think the same thing with kids in recruiting is, I always tell them, ask coaches really directly what the situation is and where you stand, because that helps them understand where they stand with you, and you understand where you stand with them. And then you can make better decisions. And college is a little different, obviously, because you have your board and these guys are here, and then you're not sure if this guy's going to come to you, even if you offered him, type of thing. So you're kind of trying to build the relationship still with the kid and the parent, but the parent and the kid doesn't necessarily understand how that works, right? So it's kind of a difficult explanation. But I do think that the more the open communication is, it's much more likely that a kid ends up going to you if you do offer them, and better opportunity for that kid to have success. Because that's the biggest thing that I've seen with recruits is that I always say it's not the kids that are obviously the kids that are just slam dunks. That's for those kids, it's really that's not any part of an issue. The issue for them is, hey, if they don't commit after a certain point, other slam dunks are also committing, right? So they get caught in those situations. But it's the kid that you think you might be interested in offering, but you're not there yet on him. And, he might be slightly down the board a little bit, but he's not out of the mix. That's always the hardest thing for the coach, I think, and for the player, because they don't really, they sit in limbo land. How do you guys try to communicate those situations? Because those situations probably come up a lot more than anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's yes, because you have, like you mentioned, you have a board. Maybe there's a guy who's fifth on your board, but the top three on your board they may not view themselves as a good fit for you. So
right.
Your fifth guy is actually your number two guy, but neither, if you know it at the moment. But again, just the blunt honesty and brutal transparency. If we have 3 spots offered up for a position, you tell everyone what it is. The fourth guy is tough, but again, you're just they don't like to hear it in the moment. And by they, I mean the coach, the player, the parent. This is where you are. All right. It's a very fluid situation. It can change just like that. That's been the most and easiest success. I've had to keep everybody in a good spot and a good relationship. And then parents and just coaches, everyone just trusts that you're being absolutely blunt and honest because you told them. And again, in the moment when you have to deliver, it's really, really awkward and very, very tough. But I think when that does happen, those few situations, there's a linebacker at Fordham who ended up turning out to be an All-American. We took him the last signing day. We were his only opportunity. Told him where he was the entire time. Every time I had to be like, we've offered another one. You're the next up. And he got so tired of hearing it. I got so tired of delivering it to him. Right. And finally, I don't want to say it was like, now it's your turn, but it was like, okay, you're up. And I'm so glad and fortunate because there's no science to the recruiting. And sometimes you get really dumb lucky and you get some really good ones. You can always follow the measurables, but the intangible piece of your institution where you're at, Colgate's really isolated. It's in a real small part of central New York. If guys want big time city life or certain aspects like that, they're not going to have success here regardless if they're good or not. But just over communicating where somebody is. And yes, those situations get difficult, but I've just always found, and as a staff, we preach that we just over communicate. We tell them where they are, we let them know, this is why you're still not there yet. And again, it's awkward, but it's just transparency, and it goes a long way with everybody. It seems to help us and help them throughout the career I've had.
It's definitely not the norm, right? And that's definitely not the trend as to how most staffs, I believe, operate. But for you, I mean, look, I know in the moment, mom, dad, kid, you may not want to hear this, but it's ultimately going to help you in the future because you're not going to be sitting here waiting for something or you think it's one thing and it's not. We're just going to tell you how it is, exactly where you are, and allow you to kind of, then make your decision based off there. And I think also, like, you know, the academic standards put you guys in a different realm as it is, right? So it's like already your board is very different than most others. And like you said, isolated piece in New York, right? All of those things like factor into whether or not that's the right fit for the player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, our pool is small. It kind of gets diluted for you, which is nice. But you know, the negatives are you're recruiting against the same people all the time.
All the time.
All the time. So it's like, who are you talking to? And it's like, let me list them off for you.
Yep.
But the only time, like, you know, the transparency is great because it's just, again, if a kid or a family have an opportunity to another institution and you're not there yet at our institution, we're not ready to give them an offer. It's just, if you're transparent with them and you're like, hey, if they start to give you a deadline or they're, you know, kind of squeezing you, like you do what you have to do and what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, it's all about getting as many kids to division free as possible. Like whether it be D1, right. D2, D3, if it's division free, it's for me. Like, so whatever you can do to help kids get that attained, you know, and it's not altruistic. It's just what I was taught by Coach Moore. It's like, you go wherever it's free. So you help kids get that done. And I think when you do that and you do it the right way, good things happen for you, your program, and everyone, because everyone wins.
Right. No doubt about it. Are things like NAL an issue or a factor at all at the Patriot League? Is that even?
There are some things in that, and we have a good system here. One of the kids I coach has a pretty good setup, which is awesome. You know, and is it like what it is at the other places? No. But we do have it. We're fortunate, you know, a lot of people that come to Hamilton, New York and get a great degree and move on, they often they have a good after college experience as far as being able to help us and make sure that things like of that nature are there and available. Like I played in the Patriot League. I coached like the first time before the scholarships, and then when I came back to it after the scholarships.
Yeah, you've seen both sides of the
they get it good. I love it.
Yeah, compared to what we did. Yeah,
I got here, we went to bowling, we were doing laser tag, we we're getting Chick-fil-A right now. I'm like, what is this? And Coach gets the new Patriot League. I'm like, okay, I'm in. So, but it is there. It's not the same dollar figures or amounts, but there's
right.
There. So, and I think that's one of the beauties of this, the Patriot, the Ivy, you know, is hopefully that stays. There's some, you know, purity to it, and you're not having to worry as much. And I shouldn't say worry, but it doesn't become that much of a factor, and it's not as a transactional business. It's still more of a personal-based business.
Right. The biggest thing you probably have to worry about is when you have a player that's great, someone else trying to
get him.
Grab him. Yeah. That's probably the bigger issue, which is I'm sure is difficult because they're probably not sure either when someone tries to reach out to them. But it's that whole part of college football is complete craziness. What is so for Colgate, like going forward, how do you guys, you know, like from a recruiting standpoint, what's kind of your map look like as far as recruiting? And you know, what are the kind of guys that you guys are looking for?
You know, we have to go national, honestly, just because the admission standards. I think the average test score is 33 to get in here. So you got to go cast a wide net. We do go national, you know, and so we divide this country up by staff member. We have like a primary, a secondary, and tertiary recruiting area. You know, the primary. Most programs want to do that 4 to 6 hour window right outside of their campus. Our 4 to 6 hour window has to be stretched a little bit further, just because the 4 to 6 hours from here, it's not it's not fruitful. It's just you need more than what is there. So we go even further out. Like you look at your staff, where they come from, what successes they've had. Our special teams coordinator and linebackers coach has done a great job. He was in Ohio for a long time. You know, I recruited Ohio for a long time at Fordham, so we split that state in half so that we could both be more focused. We have 19 kids on the roster, so from that state. So
your roster, coach, is it is like you're talking when you say national, it is national from California to Florida to Oklahoma. There's guys from all over.
Yeah, and again, like because of the pool of bodies or recruits or prospects, you know, and everybody recruiting the same ones, it's you go where you need to, and at times. You try to target the guys that are coming from a smaller community, just because you want to bring them to what they know. It's not that our guys from the city have not had a great experience here, but you try to go target those and keep them in a comfort setting. If you're going into downtowns and stuff, it may be tough for them to come out to Hamilton where there's not as much of that. So,
Right.
But yeah, we do that national piece where like in the spring, everyone spread out, divide and conquer to construct recruiting boards, all that good stuff. And then the summer, you visit as many camps as possible, collect as much information as you can, hopefully see as many folks as possible. The spring now, the way it's set up where guys are practicing and working out every day, you can see everything you need to see. That's also part of why I think that, not why, it's obvious, that's why it's sped up. There's now questions that you used to have to wait to get answers to in June and July. You get them now in April and May. So you're able to do your due diligence in that regard and push forward. Once the season's done here, we'll go out and start our visits to finish up everything for the first early signing period and see where we need to finish up the final pieces of that. But we'll also be doing the research for the next class, starting to get those early offers out and making sure everything's ahead of schedule as best as possible.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the old days, that was in Colgate and all the Patriot League was basically Northeast recruiting base. That's some of the things that like parents that I know that they don't all understand that everything now is, especially a high academic school is going to be national because it's so easy to talk to a player from anywhere, and like you talked about that, Hamilton's a great college town, but it's a small town. So that you have to go and find the guys that obviously are looking for more of that. And that gives you the ability to recruit national, which is great. But parents in the Northeast sometimes, which is your area, right? They don't always understand that. They don't realize, like, they think they're competing, for Colgate with the Northeast, right? Because that's how it used to be. But they don't realize that, like, that's not the case, So it's a very, very and the South obviously is littered with and Midwest are littered with football players that are really, really talented. So they're competing with those people around the country. That's the thing that me and Derek have talked about this a lot. That we're trying to get people to understand and open their eyes to is that you're competing. Your high school team. When you're looking at things that go into recruiting, you can't just be looking as to you're competing with this kid. Let's say you go to Bergen Catholic. You're not just competing with the kid from St. Joe's from it. You're competing with kids from the Midwest, from the South, from wherever, that could be recruited. Talk about, and obviously since New Jersey's your area, right? Do you have to communicate that to people sometimes? I mean, is that something that has to get out there?
Yeah. It's tough. Like now with the ease of access of information, there's all the recruiting services, different providers. You click one button, you can filter out the nation, everybody with over a 3.5, So, if that doesn't work, then you go into the portal. You see the 400,000 or whatever it is that are in there. So, explaining it to
just keeps growing.
Yeah, to kids is tough. Parents probably even tougher. It's just like it's changed the way it looks, the way it is. It's different. So yes, you have to explain to them like, yes, you are good in this area, and that's one of the big things I think as a recruiting coach. You have to. It's like you can't just get so fixated on your little pocket. Like, yes, this player may be the best in your area, but is he the best for your program? Because Coach Rush, Georgia, are like great football. If he has a guy down there, if that's what's best for us, like let's do that. So trying to communicate it. Everyone's going to always have that bias towards their area, and if you're a parent, biased towards your kid. But trying to be like, I understand you're the best in this county, in this state, but are you the best? So it's just.
Look, we try to tell people all the time.
It's an interesting dynamic, and I'm glad you guys have to do it on your end now. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's interesting though. Like we tell guys all the time, like because Dave's a UConn alum, right? So the number one guy in Connecticut, he might be just equivalent to the 10th guy in Georgia. And I think, look, people don't want to hear that stuff, but this is part of it. When guys start ranking football states and doing all that other kind of stuff, like this stuff all matters, man. Like I know your guy is, the best player in your little conference or your division or your state. But when we look on the grand scale of things with the way, like you said, the access to just seeing kids on the regular, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to all these camps, who's got their film up, just that stuff. All now you got to take a look at the whole thing. Even just look at the way the big conferences are going. You know what I mean? The Big Ten now has USC and UCLA in it. So we're talking Jersey to Cali. Right. Where's that recruiting base? The geographical stuff it's really kind of starting to, fade away a little bit.
Right. 1,000%. It's just a way, just one click of a button on your computer to access so much information has changed it. Like, that's why I think we're able to be national now. It's like, I can tell you the top 50 tackles in Oregon, and it takes me 2 minutes to filter that out.
And even more so for you, right? Like, now you can get, okay, look, here's the GPAs done. Boom. Here's what we're working with. And look, the Northeast, academic schools at that level that people are looking for, that's an appeal for some guys, maybe that they don't have access to in the Midwest or access to on the West Coast, right? Where, dude, I can go to Colgate, play high level football and get one hell of a degree and then set myself up more so, that's the stuff we try to clue and we just want to make people aware of this is how things are. It just moves it's moving so fast now that people can't catch up. I mean, even if you had a son that graduated 2-3 years ago, the entire recruiting process has changed. So you kind of got to dive in and really, do your homework if you're diligent, right? And the whole, we try and tell people too, look, we recruit the kid, they recruit the kid, but they also recruit the parents as well. You play a huge role in this whole thing too. So you kind of got to, cross your T's, dot your I's type of stuff. But it's really, like you said, the open communication and the down, this is what it is. The whole, just talk or beat around the bush, this type of stuff. Man, as a parent, respect the coach that has that tough conversation with you, that's willing to tell you exactly where your kid stands, because that's not the norm and it's going to benefit you in the long run.
And again, it's especially with how it is, and there's fewer opportunities. You don't want to, you just get directly to it, let everyone know what's up. I just think it benefits everyone and all parties, and it creates a less risk for everyone to have a bad experience and leave with a bad taste in their mouth. So, you may not like it in the moment or hear, but at the end of the day, I think they fully appreciate it. And everyone it's easier. I don't want to say easier. It's just a better business for everybody. So.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Coach, what do you see going forward in recruiting? Do you have an idea, what you think may be changing going forward in the future, and things that might affect you going forward at Colgate?
Ooh, it changes every day, I feel like. So, I'm not the person right now. We try to adapt to every change they're making in a good way or a bad way. So, eventually, I don't know. I think maybe camps will die out. And now it'll just be
you think so? Do you think camps because you listen for a while? I mean, Dave and I talk about this all the time. We saw the mega camp became a trend, right? And you'd have all these schools and all these kids, and now you've started to see that kind of go away a little bit. But you now see one school doing, 5 different weekends of camps, and we got middle school kids coming, and you got specialists only going. I think what's killing the camp thing is the official visits in June, right?
And all the ability to do the workouts in the spring. I think that in Ohio this spring I went to 8 for a week. It was 8 to 10 schools a day, but it was all choreographed and scripted. That this school is a 6 a.m. workout, and they did it all the way through. And part of it was understanding by administrators. There was workouts at 1 o'clock. So Timmy, Johnny, and Billy were supposed to be in math, but they're out there working out for 30 coaches. So,
and Dave, we've talked about this too, right? Because in Jersey, and look, every state has their own rules too, right? So you're trying to navigate that on a national level as far as a coach coming in.
Yeah, I think that may be one of those things that may happen. Is this state on this day or this month, this week of April, they're going to do their workouts, so everybody goes to the same spot. All college coaches, we just do it. And then it's all done. So,
and that's kind of what we've done a little bit here in Jersey is, we've kind of, if you got, a good, you got a coach that wants to come in and see, because, a couple days you're allowed to do the workouts in Jersey where coaches can come in. We've tried to choreograph with the guys around us. Right. Yeah. So, hey, we're going to work out at 2:00. We're going to work out at 3. We're going to go at 5. Right. So that coach now just has, hey, he just has to bam, 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 and can kind of, hit it all running. It would be interesting if we all could go to like one spot and work.
That would be more ideal. But
how great would that be if you got like 4 you got 4 teams rolling to one facility? Like, let's rock.
No, yeah, that's. Like even if you just said by conference, all the conferences went to one school.
Conference would be great.
Everybody got to rotate it. So
good luck. No offense. Good luck with that one down here in the shore, buddy. We're about,
Yeah, but I think the conferences would do it. So
a super conference would do it in probably 2 seconds.
I think they all would do it because it's beneficial to them. You know what I mean? Like you figure out how that would work. But
that would be great if somebody could figure out the logistics of it.
There's a large level of coordination. I mean, it basically takes the camps, college camps, and then puts it in, locally, which the hardest thing on the college camps too, that I think in the long run, but I guess it could happen this way with even the camps when you guys go on high school campuses, is that the college camps, the issue was that like they go there and they're not, they're told they're going to go there and they're going to get looked at. And obviously, as a college coach, you want to get as many prospects on campus as possible, right? And the kids don't understand, not more than the kids, the parents don't understand that that's the objective for coaches. So as many as potential prospects that you might be interested in to get them on campus. And they think for some reason that it always perplexes me. They think that they're going to show up at the camp. It's going to be like a one-on-one workout. You know what I mean? So that's the truth. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but it's the truth. So that also kind of like then they're like, oh, I'm only going to go to 1 or 2, and then blah blah blah. And it's so that everybody gets less kids at them, and then the mega camps kind of die out. But I do think you're right that I think your trend on getting out to where those kids are, just like if they have spring practice, it's super easy, right? Like,
how great! I mean, God, I'd kill.
New Jersey doesn't have that. Like, that's a big pain. I think it's a huge negative for recruiting for New Jersey. It's not a negative as far as long term, I don't know, physical health or anything like that. But it's a negative recruiting wise because you can actually watch them going through actual football drills. And the states that don't have that, it definitely hurts them because when you could recruit nationally and you're not doing what the best states have nationally, you're behind.
You're not giving your kids the opportunity to put themselves in the best position to get recruited because just based off of logistics, they're already behind the 8 ball because they can't have spring practice, which means now they can't get out there. And which is why you see guys in these states kind of go off and do their own thing. And they're taking those extra risks of going to showcases, combines, or they're trying to play in something or do this 7-on-7 stuff, right? Like if we would all just come together and really look at it like we all say we're in it for the kids and just do it for the kids, and that would be on the table.
I mean, like people go to Jersey, it is well recruited, but I think adding that would help. Obviously, the next element and the next piece, and maybe the guys that the superstar, the 5-star, everybody knows about. That's easy. Everyone knows about that. It's a guy who's maybe going to be a fringe FCS player who high school coaches watch the maturation, the development from sophomore year to junior year, and maybe not. He doesn't have a lot of film, and taking a word or trusting somebody you really know well. It's
really what it comes down to a lot.
You can go out there and they're working out and you're able to, be able to see it firsthand or present it to a member of your staff. It's like you're helping that kid that much sooner. And I think there's obviously merit to it and it would help everybody. So hopefully,
and I think your perspective, because you were at that high school, right? So you saw how to navigate that. And look, where you were, Coach, like that's one of the, you know what I mean? Like that's a place that does it right and is very accommodating and cares about that stuff.
Yep.
We're not talking about, the 200 other that literally have no concept of any of those types of things.
Right. Yeah, no, it's having visited several different high schools and you just see what the setups of each. Like you walk into
It's
state of the art, everything.
And look, and then you do Ohio too, right? So you've seen Ohio, and that's a totally different beast as well, you know?
Yeah, you walk into $1 million field house and they're recruiting pamphlets all of color and it's bound. You're like, okay, they get it. And then the other one is still a handwritten piece of paper. You're like, okay, but you go, you make it work and you just try to, so. But yeah, definitely different levels in how they handle it. So,
Coach, it's been great having you on, man. You really shed a lot of insight onto like the recruiting process and what you guys are looking for. They're gonna have to get you like a little more sleep. We got to get you. You know what I mean? We got to get you like hey, soon hyperbaric chambers are gonna be everywhere for everybody. You know what I mean? When I need to recharge, I'm not taking a nap. I'm just going right in that hyperbaric chamber and I'll be back.
Listen, you were at Mississippi State. They were probably moving them in right as you guys were getting.
There's stuff there. There's parts of the building I didn't even know existed. It was awesome.
Yeah, listen, and it's amazing. And Coach Moorhead, I've heard him speak a ton. I mean, just an awesome dude, right? So to learn from him and coach with him, like that's just look. Even to just have that taste of it, right? So you kind of get it. And Coach, appreciate you taking the time. We know you're kind of in the nitty gritty of it, like I've said, but thanks a lot so much. If we can ever do anything, let us know.
Before I let you go, I don't know if you were there that day, but one of my most fun coaching moments was at the Fordham 7. You guys used to run a 7-on-7 at Fordham.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2012, we played. We went all the way to I was at Palisades Park, Leone. I was that coach there, and we went all the way to the championship. We played Bergen Catholic, and it was like 6 overtimes.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah. None of us wanted to be the ones that officiate the game because we didn't want to get anybody mad because it just kept going. It was like, oh,
it kept going. And it was one of our. The truth was, it was that team ended up going. Our team ended up going to the state championship that year. So that was like for us. That was like those kids came out of there. Were like, we believe we could do it. If we could compete with them at 7-on-7. Obviously, tackle would be different because of linemen. But if we were able to compete there, it was like we won the Super Bowl. I'm not kidding. It was literally like we won the Super Bowl that day. And I remember Nunzio Campanelli was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because he was the head coach at the time at Bergen. He was like, "Are you kidding me?" And the funny thing about it all is we had a kid that was a transfer from Bergen Catholic who had to sit out the year before. He was with us, but he had to sit out because of eligibility. And then he was on our team, and he was friends with all those guys. He was a senior, so there was a whole thing going back and forth. It was really, really great. So that was one of my great memories from Fordham. That was one of my favorite 7-on-7 turns. Plus, you guys were the only ones at the time that did 5 games. They did 5 games.
Automatic. Nice.
Oh, no, yeah. We made sure
they had 5 games. Everyone got 5 games. It was unbelievable. Yeah. It was unbelievable. Anyway, that was Coach Moorhead, I think. Yeah, that was Coach Moorhead.
Listen, that's because he had to get those guys into, to Fordham. No, ain't nobody want to roll there on the regular, buddy. Like, stay inside the fences, but hell, I mean, shit, whatever it takes, dude.
Yeah, so. But I appreciate you guys letting me come on and talk.
Coach, thank you so much.
Have a great day.
All right, you guys have a great weekend.
Go get them.
All right.
All right, that was a great podcast. I had to get that in, Derek, because that's one of my great memories. That was an impetus.
Dude, I just the whole. I mean, man. I mean, he's worked with 2 head coaches, dude, that were like Clausen and Moorhead, dude. Like, hell, that's phenomenal. You know what I mean? And then to go, the D3 route, right? Because we always talk about it. Like, there are guys that are just comfortable where their feet are, and they just kind of roll with that. And then, because look, those Patriot League schools are so interesting to me, right? Because they do have those academic standards. Like you said, like they're not on the level of when you're talking, and I'm not talking level in terms of X's and O's and playing and all that other stuff. Like they just have standards that look, if you're under this GPA, dude, I can't even it's not even worth talking to you because this isn't going to happen. And the pool, like you said, shrinks. And great point by you when you brought up the fact that, look, this isn't geographical anymore, dude. Like the kids on, like, go look at this roster, man. Because I was going through it and I was wowed. We're talking California, Texas, Florida, Jersey, Ohio. I mean, Dave, there's dudes from Oklahoma. Like, I mean, what's the team we were talking about the other day? The real good team in Oklahoma? Bixby or something?
Bixby. The one that
kid on the team.
The wishbone.
There's a kid on the team from Bixby, dude.
The wing T type style up. Yeah.
There's a kid on that. There's a kid on Colgate from Bixby. There's a kid on
really?
Colgate from Bowles, Florida. There's a kid on Colgate from Manasquan, New Jersey. I mean, dude,
yeah.
Dave, there's a kid on there from St. John Bosco in California. Like, that to me is, I mean, damn, right? And I mean, you look at the coaching staff and how they have it, on their website. And look, I always feel like when I check out a team or a school and you look at their website and it's a certain way, like, you can kind of tell that they know what's going on. I mean, they have every position coach and every place that he recruits in terms of states. Look, North Jersey, South Jersey, like these guys do this. And like these guys handle a lot. So sleep deprived or not, I can tell my man's working, like he is working. And again, parents, if you're listening or watching, like it's got to be the right fit. I know everybody's just like, oh, scholarship. There are a lot of scholarship guys that can play at Colgate, but my man, you can't live at Colgate and you won't survive in that setting. Like, not going to happen. So you better kind of do your homework and not just, you know what I mean? Because he talked about it. We got a board with 1 through 5, but 1 through 3 are never going to come or not going to work here. So 4 is really the one and all that kind of stuff, man. Like, you got to just know, do your homework, go to these places, see what they're like, and then go from there. But I thought he was pretty good, man. I like him a lot.
It was excellent.
And he recruits South Jersey, so he's in it. You know what I mean? And dude, like, he coached at Somerville, bro. Like, come on, dude. Like, they're undefeated.
As active and as big as our stuff is on YouTube, the live on X. Dude, the live on X kills it, dude.
Dave, because it pops up on the top of everybody's. So everybody that follows and you see sports, Dave Schuman, any of that stuff, it all pops up right on top when you log into it. Like, it literally comes up immediately where you can just click it, go right into it, and fly.
And that's
right. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It comes up on mine. Like, I don't know if you like.
It comes up on mine.
Right. Like, if you put, I don't know if you put access to whatever for like at Coach Schuman or at Coach D NUC Sports, like that would all pop up the live as it is, and then whoever wants to click it and go. And then the recasts kill it too, dude.
Well, the recasts in YouTube kill it.
Plus, you listen. It's like it's guest oriented too. People see like, hey, I got a guy from Colgate coming on here. Oh, I could let's go talk about it. You know what I mean? Like that matters too. But like, I just think it's detraction, dude.
Wait. So you're saying if we can get Joe Rogan, we might have 1 million views, probably. Yeah.
I don't know. Joe Rogan, you think he's willing to do it? Just tell him you're a Trumper.
Yeah. I don't know if he'd be willing to do it. I think he just does.
Or do we have to go there? Like, can I go there and hang out in his hyperbaric chamber and then I'll go there, dude? Are you kidding me? Like, I'll tell him put me through one of his workouts. You could kill me. I don't care. Let's do it.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was another great podcast. We're back next week.
Tony Holler are back on Monday, man. We got to get him before he starts. He just met with his indoor people, so we got to get him on Monday.
Okay, cool, perfect. All right, we'll get
Tony. He's fired up, Coach. He's fired up to get back on and talk. Feed the cats, man.
Hey, listen, I apply to feed the cat stuff as much as I can. So
our entire program is going to be based around that, man. And our track coach does it winter and spring, and all for it.
Yeah, the feed the cats. Yeah, I'm curious to see how, because I'm applying it right now, even with my son, and I'm curious to see when he runs track, the results of it, because it's interesting. Now we're doing mostly on grass. We do it mostly on grass.
That's okay. He's gonna be mostly on grass.
But yeah, right. But I actually have him work out, do the sprints with track spikes on. And
you got him. Nice.
Yeah. I have, because he runs in the spring. Sure. So
now you think he's going to be a sprinter?
Yeah, he's a sprinter. He's
long, bro. You better teach him hurdles.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad's got that hurdle thing. He got to follow in those footsteps, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, he won't do that for another couple of years. But the
I see his hips.
I'll tell you what's so interesting, and I always kind of used it a version. Like I was probably more like I probably did more work than according to his plan than necessary.
Oh, of course.
But
I think that's just the way we always were, where you got to work harder. You got to do that. You know what I mean? Like, we're not programmed to do the things that he does. Yeah. We're not programmed to do that, dude. That's not how we were. It was more is better and fight through it to get better and all that stuff. Like, we're just not programmed like that.
But I'm noticing that, like, just doing these things, I only do it probably twice a week, maybe. And honestly, it might take 20 minutes, maybe. If it takes 20 minutes, I would. It probably takes about 20 minutes after you warm up a little bit. But it takes about 20 minutes, dude. I'm telling you, I'm like, this kid looks like he's flying. I'm like, wow. So I'm curious to try when we get to the spring, because we still have a few more months, right?
Dude, it's November.
And of course, Tony believes the long term, meaning like 7-8 years, right, of doing this. So you're only going to see so many results in the short term, but in the long, and I think that's it's really, really interesting stuff. So it's such a different,
and it goes very much against what most people believe or what most of their philosophies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's just different, and in order to like anybody great was called crazy at one point, right? In my book, like, you know what I mean? Like, when you think outside the box and start doing things, but the respect that I give is because you're trusting in this process and you're rolling with it. Like, and now you're starting to see these results, and now you're just going to see more and more and more and more. I think people adapt this because for what it is now, this is what it is. Like, dude,
it's very, very interesting. So it's interesting stuff, really interesting stuff. All
right. And if Troy at this young age, if this is the way he knows to train from now until, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is all he's going to know this part of it. And like, hey, I go all out, and then you know what I mean? Like, that's going to be his whole mentality. Whereas for us, it's like, dude, you got to run 20 gassers, like, 16 110s for time, dude. Like, get it done. Like, hell no.
Right. Right, you made them slow, which everybody else does. This is one of the things that, like, I apply things the way that I do it, and but I when I watch everybody else, it's just like
you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
I can't even watch it. So
you're like, why are you running hundreds, bro? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
like the kid's 8 years old, dude. He can't run 100 yards.
Yeah, so
for time.
Over and over and over and over and over.
In no order.
No, I know. All right, here.
All right, man.
See you on Monday.
Next week, people.
Monday.